10 years ago, my dad took me to his home country for 6 weeks. My dad's home was in the middle of literally nowhere, and we had no Wi-Fi. And when I say we had no Wi-Fi, I didn't just mean Wi-Fi. We had no service. We had no network. There wasn't a cell tower. We didn't even have 2G. We didn't have E. Times were tough for me. And now, fast forward 10 years, all my relatives that also lived in that house, that grew up there, now are on YouTube, now have TikTok. And I'm like, wait, how on earth did you guys even get Wi-Fi in the first place? It's a prime example of how the world has changed within the last 10 years. It is now a universal thing to have access to these platforms. You're guaranteed to always have something to do. There is no such thing as reaching the end on TikTok. You can scroll for hours and hours and hours, and you can just keep going. Back when we had Instagram in 2015, once you had seen all of your friends' posts, it was quite boring for you to be on there. TikTok, you could be sat there for 3, 4, 10 hours. Same with YouTube, same with every other platform now. And this scrolling motion just keeps you going on and on. You don't get a second to think for yourself anymore. I started doing this thing. Before I go into the reasons as to why I love boredom, I love just being still. Before I get into those reasons, I'm going to talk about what I actually do now in my day-to-day life. For an hour and a half each morning, I'm commuting, and when I walk for most of it. I don't listen to anything. People say it's good to listen to podcasts. Now, you might be listening to me on your walks, and I hope you carry on listening to me because, girl, I need the views. I don't listen to music. Now, I know there's this whole thing about how music is very addictive and people are trying to stay away from it and they're moving towards podcasts. Me, I have just cut everything out. I don't even have earphones in my ear anymore. I just walk in silence. Some days I'll get a hot drink to keep me company, but I just do it. Nothing. I kid you not, I have learned so much. In that 1 hour and a half, I've learned so much about myself. I've learned about the things that I'm going through currently, what I'm happy with, what I'm not happy with. And it's changed everything for me. By the time it reaches 9 a.m., my daily routine starts. I'm getting into it, working, coming home, cleaning, all the busy stuff, meeting people, talking. All of that begins. But that hour and a half is just me on my own and my thoughts. I've written a list of reasons as to why boredom is actually great for you. I am going to start off with one of the first reasons. Boring days confront your identity when it's not attached to achievement. Think about yourself. What do you like about yourself? What is it that you enjoy? What talents do you have? And I'm not talking about the work achievement. I'm not talking about how many good grades you have. I'm not talking about the clothes you own. I'm talking about you as a person. What is it about you? Who are you without all of that? Who are you? It sounds so cliche, but it's so important because I feel like we label ourselves, we take our job titles and we attach our identity to that. I'm a banker. I'm an accountant. I'm so great at what I do. Great, but who are you without that? We're in this culture where you must be doing something at all times or else you're a nobody. But actually, take the achievements away, you are still somebody. When you know who you are without all of this extra stuff, you gain internal stability. And long-term success demands this internal stability within you. If your only source of motivation in life is external validation, what's going to happen when people stop clapping? What's going to happen when you slow down? You're not seeing results. Boredom is the thing that takes away all of this noise, all of this external validation. And it teaches you how to be stable without all these achievements and all the results. Ask yourself, what do you pursue when nobody is watching? When you're bored and you're sat there doing absolutely nothing, what is the true meaning? Who actually are you when you don't see the results, when you haven't achieved anything? Because it's important. Success comes when you are experiencing these highs and lows in life. And when you have that low, when nothing is working out for you and you're at a standstill and it's all part of the journey, what are you going to do then when you can't survive without external validation? When you see boredom as a time for you to learn, a time for you to grow, the journey to success for you will be a lot easier. Boring periods also remove distraction. I can give you an example that many of you might be able to relate to. You know that saying, love is blind, and when people are in very toxic relationships, they don't know what they're going through. And then when they come out of it, they see that, wow, it was very toxic for me. It was such a terrible environment. And they had ignored all of these things. What's happening is when you're in that relationship, you're so distracted. There's so much noise. You're not spending time to actually reflect. And then you come out of it and you're like, wait, that wasn't right. That wasn't good. The same thing happens with boredom. When you are not occupied, when you're not in these high stimulation environments, when nobody's demanding things from you, you actually start to confront all the feelings that you might have been avoiding. And it's not a nice feeling. Honestly, it's not. Some things that you've been avoiding for so long can feel really heavy when you do confront them. But the more you confront these feelings, the lighter you will feel. The quicker you accept certain things and the quicker you acknowledge all these unprocessed emotions, the faster you'll heal. And when you heal, you're more stable. You're better with your emotions. Now, going on to life is always going to be unpredictable. You might want to plan out your whole life, have this blueprint ready. By 21, I'm going to graduate. By 23, I'm going to be married. By 25, I'm going to have this family and I'm going to have my house. But it's not always like that. And I'm sure by now you've realized that life is going to throw some crazy things at you. Like I said, during the mornings, I like to go on my walks and I'm just thinking. That's the only time I feel in control, because I have the control to think and reflect. Life can do its own thing. We're never going to be able to control what life is going to throw at us. Motion is not growth. That's very important. Just because you're moving doesn't mean you're actually growing. When I slow down and I look at every single thing and I'm like, you know what, let me pause for a second and reflect on all of these things. Look, there's that problem. I have this rule when it comes to dealing with problems or confrontation. Don't let the emotions get the best of you. Stand back, take a week if you have to. I promise you, you will figure out so many different, better ways. You will find better ways to deal with a situation because you don't want to regret it in the future. You don't want to regret handling situations terribly because you did not have the time to slow down and think. You'll start to see why people act the way they do. You'll understand people's motives. When you then deal with a situation and you're happy with how you've dealt it, you're going to have more confidence in yourself. And that is a sign of growth. You're going to be able to put yourself out there in the world and think, you know what, whatever comes to me, I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to be better at dealing with situations. When you act irrationally and when you've not slowed down to think about things, you're not going to be in control. Thinking is control. Just because you might not have control over your life or the way things pan out does not mean that you don't have control over yourself. It's two different things. Life is going to control itself. You can't control life, but you sure can control yourself. There's also gratefulness. When we have those boring days or those boring moments, you are going to enjoy the results. And it's the best feeling. I've got so many examples of it. We've just had Ramadan. So I didn't have coffee for a month because I'm not going to be a crazy girl that has coffee at 3 o'clock in the morning or has coffee in the evening when I'm breaking my fast. But I didn't have coffee for a month. And after that month, when I had my first sip of my first coffee, it was amazing. And something as small as a coffee, which is £4 in our economy, had made me realize how much I was able to resist the temptations. It made me a lot more grateful for actually having this coffee after so long. The same thing goes for when you're on holiday. People are excited to come back after a long holiday. They are excited to be in their bed. They're excited to go back into their routine. You don't want to be on holiday all the time. So whenever I do come back from a holiday, I work again. The boring days are repetitive. It's just so boring. I can't wait till I'm back on holiday and I'm actually enjoying myself. And there was a time where I was away for a month, and by the end of it, I was sick of it because I wanted to feel productive. I wanted to feel like I was doing something with my time. And the days where you're productive might feel the most boring, but it drives results. Doing fun things every day is going to burn you out. Just like when you're constantly listening to music, just like when you're scrolling for hours and hours and it just doesn't feel fun anymore. That is the problem with that. You need to have a balance. And boredom must be a very big part of your life. Spend 50% of your time enjoying and having fun, and spend the other 50 working on yourself, seeing the results, reflecting, building quietly. It's all a cycle of life. Life is like this everywhere. Just like nature, our growth cycles include the dormancy, the low stages, the quiet stages. For the past 8 months, I've been going on the same walk every single day. And I've seen autumn, I've seen winter, I've seen how cold it is, I've seen the empty trees, I've seen the leaves on the floor. Now I am seeing all the beautiful pink trees, the orchids and the tulips growing, and everything is always a cycle when it comes to everything. The same thing happens. You can't expect to always have an amazing life, always be doing something. It is more important that you have balance. You are going to do so much more when you are bored, when you don't have the results. It's going to lead to success. It teaches you patience. We're in this era where people are telling you that success is quick. It's easy for you to earn money overnight, but you're only seeing 30 minutes of their day where they're probably having some fun. It is 30 seconds. A 30-second clip does not include exactly 24 hours. Everybody is posting their lives online, all the drama, all the noise, but it has nothing to do with you. Assalamu alaikum.